This is the Year 8 CICAN for directed numbers. First skill, adding and subtracting, showing working with positive numbers. So we start at the units for adding. Excuse my cat sneezing there. 3 plus 8 is 11. Put down the units, carry the 1. 8 plus 2 is 10, but we've also got this 1, so it's 11. Put down units, carry the 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. Subtracting, start from the units. 1 minus 3, we can't do that, we'll have to borrow. Borrow from the 6, make that a 5, carry the 1, we've got 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. 5 minus 7 we can't do, so we'll borrow from the 5, make that 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. 4 minus 2 is 2. Sorry about the cat. Adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Good idea to use your number line when we're adding and subtracting, and to remember that when we've got a plus and a minus right next to each other, so not right here, this is a negative number plus a number, so positive, negative, but when we see a plus and a minus right next to each other, we know that that becomes a minus. So 12 minus 3 is 9. Becomes a minus. 12 minus 12 is 0. This becomes a minus. 12 minus 20, this is where you might want to get your number line out, because it's 12 and we're minus 20 steps. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Negative 8. Negative 13 plus 7. We'd start at negative 13 and count our way up 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 6. So use your number line if it helps you. Negative 13 plus 10. Negative 3. We've got plus or minus here. It doesn't matter that there's no brackets. A negative is still a negative. So that's minus. Negative 13 minus 1. We've gone to negative 13 and minus 1. Negative 14. Negative 15 plus 23. You can use your number line, or you can say, look, you know it's 15 up to the 0. And then how many more would you add on? Or you could say that this is the same as 23 minus 15, which you might find easier. It's okay to rearrange as long as the negative stays with the number that it was with. So that then gives me, what have I got? 23 take away 15. Taking away 13 would be easy. It would take me down to 10, and then another 2, so 8. That's a minus. 12 minus 20, negative 8. Adding and subtracting positive numbers. Now here's where we will get sometimes a negative right next to a minus. Again, it's not when we've got this. This is negative 12 minus 13. They're not right next to each other. But when they're right next to each other like this, subtracting a negative is a plus. So 12 minus 15, negative 3. 12 minus 12, 0. 8 minus 14. Remember, you can use your number line for this if you want. Go to 8 and count down 14. 14, negative 6. Minus 12 minus another 13. So you're at negative 12 and you move down 13. 12, now minus a negative is plus, so 12 plus 13 minus a negative is a plus. Negative 12 plus 13. 7 minus negative 10. Minus a negative is a positive. Negative 13 minus negative 10. Minus a negative is positive. Multiplying positive and negative numbers. The best way to do this is to get the correct answer for the numbers and then decide if it's positive or negative. Remember that a positive times a negative gives me a negative, but a negative times a negative gives me a positive. You can use your number grid to help you with your multiplications. So 3 times 4, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times negative 5. Do 3 times 5, whoops, to get 15, and then decide if it's positive or negative. Positive times a negative is a negative. 12 times 3, 36, and a negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 3 times 5, do 3 times 5 is 15. Negative times a positive is a negative. 12 times negative 12 times negative 4. 12 times 4 is 48. Negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times negative 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Positive times negative is negative. Part of multiplying is squaring and cubing. So 3 squared means 3 times 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. 2 cubed means 2 times 2 times 2. I'm cubing something by multiplying it by itself 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Dividing positive and negative numbers, the same as multiplying. Work out the number answer, then decide if it's positive or negative. To divide 12 divided by 2, you can go to your number grid and go to the 2, scroll down till we get to 12 and discover that the answer is 6. Positive divided by positive is positive. 12 divided by negative 2, we know it's going to be a 6. Positive divided by a negative is negative. Same goes here. 12 divided by negative 12 divided by 2, well, 12 divided by 2 is 6, but a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 12 divided by 12, anything divided by itself is 1. Negative 12 divided by negative 6. Go to 6, down to 12, the answer is 2. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. 10 divided by 5, you know it's 2. Negative divided by a positive is negative. 15 divided by 3. Go to 3, scroll down to the 15, that will be 5. Negative divided by negative is positive. Negative 12 divided by negative 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Negative divided by negative is positive. Order of operations. You might need to show some working for these. First one, 3 plus 2 times 4. Underline the first thing that you'll do, which will be the multiplication. Write down the rest of it, 3 plus, and then 2 times 4 is 8. 3 plus 8 is 11. 3 plus 2 times negative 4. Underline the first thing you'll do. It's the sum in the brackets, because B for brackets in BODMAS. 3 plus 2 is 5. Then we write down the next bit, times negative 4. 5 times negative 4, 20. Positive times negative is negative. 12. Sorry, I've got negative 12 times 5 minus 5. Underline the first thing you'll do. The brackets don't count because it's just the brackets around a negative. It's not a sum in brackets. So I'll need to do the multiplication first. That will be negative 60 minus 5 is minus 65, or negative 65. And what have we got here? 12 divided by 3 minus 17. Underline what you'll do first, the division. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Write down the rest of it. 4 minus 17 is negative 13. Word question. It was minus 2 degrees overnight and reached a top of 13 degrees by this afternoon. What was the change in temperature? Show your working. So you've got two options for the change in temperature. It's usually easier just to go top minus the bottom. And remember that's minus negative 2, which of course will be a plus, 13 plus 2, which means we've got a change of 15 degrees Celsius. And from the start to the end, that means it went up, so we say it was a rise or an increase.